Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Valerie Hunt with RunRx, and I'm really excited. This is the last week of our RunRx reboot, which we have really enjoyed you guys checking into. It is going to stay up on the YouTube channel. And those of you that did it, thank you. I had actually a couple of you actually send in and comment some of your practice, which is great. And that's the one thing I would love for you to maybe get out of it is also, not only do you want to learn how to move correctly, you want to make sure you're moving correctly. And so some of the feedback I got, which was all very positive, and thank you so much again, a lot of questions were really around how do I, one of the top questions was, my calves are sore, how do I work through the soreness? But also a really good question was, how do I maintain my cadence? I'm having a challenge, trying to stay with my cadence being high. So I want to discuss that today, and it's a great question because it goes right into calf soreness, or really it could go right into shin splints, or it could go right into IT band or knee, or really anything else. You know, almost all running injuries happen on the ground. So we want to minimize our time on the ground. That's really what it comes down to. How can I spend less time on the ground so that when I am on the ground, I am minimizing impact, right? So we used to say things like, try to leave the ground the same as you left it. Be nice to the ground and it will be nice to you is another one I like to say. I like to have positive thoughts about running, but there's a reality that if you hit the ground, it hits you back just as hard. And so we already know from lots of research, there's tons out there, that anytime the foot is in front of you, it acts like a brake. So if I'm traveling forward and I stick my foot out, right there, I just completely stop my movement. So walking, by the way, is a stop motion movement, because in walking, both feet are on the ground. If both feet are on the ground, then obviously I'm not running, but there's going to be a pause in the motion. So in walking, it's like a pause for a second. Same thing though, if I'm using my hips to come forward and pulling, I'm going to minimize the amount of time I spend pausing, and I will actually increase the amount of time I spend traveling. And the more that you can kind of be playing hot potato with your body weight, meaning as soon as my weight's going forward, I'm just trying to keep that weight that way, right? Off my knees, off my joints, off my shins. So it's the same in the running. How much time we spend practicing the acceleration portion of running, which is actual falling from the pose, and then there's that one action of pulling, right? So if I'm in pose, I fall and I pull, it's actually only 2% of my body weight, and I'm only using 10% active muscle contraction. That's really exciting because over time, I'm going to delay fatigue, spend less time on the ground, you know, all of the stuff we keep saying. So if I've been running, I've been practicing, maybe I'm using a metronome, and I'm running and it feels like this, or even looks like this. Up, 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 up. Whew! I'm tired too. You're just simply actively pulling. So then you're using 100% active muscle contraction. So the muscle's like, I'm really tired. Like none of us would go to the weight room, right? And say, I'm gonna do 1,500 leg curls. Yet when you run and you're actively pulling, that's exactly what you're doing. It's 1,500 steps a minute. So we want to say, let's just let go of that control, if you will. So if I just have to practice, and that's what today's about, elasticity. The pull itself is a rebound. And so I'm just laughing. It's a word that we hear maybe in basketball, right? The rebound. Don't really hear it much in running. However, if you've ever watched someone that runs really smooth, you don't think about them hitting the ground. They look smooth because they're mainly in flight, right? Or when they are on the ground, it's quick, it's effortless. So one of the things that you've got to practice, which is of course in the reboot, is that ball of foot hop. So I can start to develop elasticity, and I can sense, where's the ball of my foot? Where's my body weight? And I simply leave the ground. I'm never looking for the down. I want to feel up. So I'm unweighting from my center, from my shoulders. It's all about that unweighting. So if I'm struggling to hold cadence, it's simply because instead of falling and then pulling in response to that fall, you're instead trying to use the pull to travel, which is really, really tiring. So what we're gonna do today, let me just adjust this real quick. Hey everyone that's watching, I want you to hopefully try this with me. And this would be the last week for this reboot. So this is the exciting part of this, if you'll do it, is film yourself doing this drill. See how it feels. Post it in the comments. Because I'm telling you, like all of us feel goofy. I put myself out every single day. Every day I film myself. And by the way, I still feel like I'm always learning because you can always get a little bit better, right? All right, so hopefully if you've been practicing, we should be all able to get into the running pose. So let's stand here for just a second, wiggle your toes, find your feet, bend your knees, relax your toes, take your center of mass, like an inner tube, and just bring it forward enough so you can sense the body weight is on the ball of the foot. So everybody just do 5 hops. Ready? Hop, 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 hop. Just like that. That should have felt a little bit elastic. Now pick a foot and you're gonna pull it to the running pose. Use your hamstring. Your hamstring closes the leg. Your hamstring pulls the foot. So pull. So if I know that and I go running and my calves are sore, that should be a warning sign. Well, my calves are sore. So then you have to think, oh, if my calves are sore, I must have pushed, because you see pushing into the ground is all calf. It's like doing a calf raise, right? This is a calf raise. It's a push, which again, if you're in the weight room and want to do calf raises, great. But if you want to go running and do 1,500 calf raises a minute, your calves are going to be really mad at you. Let them be. They don't want to do that. They want to just do that. They want to hang out. My calves respond simply for a split second. That's it in your run. So you pull with your hamstring. All right, here we are in our pose, in our figure 4. Our ears, shoulders, hips, lifted ankle in one vertical line, right? You're always pulling your ankle, ankle, ankle under hip. In place, of course, we pull all the way to pose when you run just from the break contact with the ground. Now I want you to take your foot and bring it back here. So look, it's relaxed. My hamstring's holding it, right? You're gonna do 1 pull, and I'm not gonna say anything until we do it again. 3, 2, 1, pull, and pause. You should be exactly back in your running pose. And if you are, yay, and it should have felt like a pop, pop, like I just rebounded right up, back into my pose. I didn't have to do any work. Now, if you did this, so let me try it again. If I pulled and I didn't use elasticity, then I'll look like this. Thud, see, thud. Still in pose, but we all recover pose, but I landed. I pulled, and then I added work to put this foot down. This is, again, why your calves will hurt, why your shins will hurt, your hip will hurt. You've got to let go of this leg. You pull the foot. So let's try that again. Pull up to pose. So here we are in our running pose. Bring that foot back just a little bit. You see what I'm doing? I'm just leaving my ankle under my hip. That's all I'm doing, so that when it drops down, it'll pop right back up using elasticity. 3, 2, 1, pull. See? Now what you should have felt is that when the foot touched, it popped right back up. Not so much because you did anything, but you allowed it to happen. That's a huge part of this whole learning process. We have to let go of all these thoughts that I control everything. No, you don't. You hold your shoulders over your hips. You have your body weight on the ball of your foot. You simply pull. You have to allow the fall, and you have to allow the hamstring to do its job. The hamstring pulls. You help a little bit. The rest of it's reflexive. It's not you at all. So let it go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, pull. Aha! All right, I'll give you one more challenge. You can try it with a fall. So again, pull. My foot's back here. So as soon as my hips go forward, as soon as I sense that weight coming off that foot, I'm going to pull it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, fall. Pull. And again, right back into the running pose. So if you got one good thing out of the reboot, I hope that it's that if I practice what's called a, let me say it right. I want to practice first a standard of movement, right? So then I have a gait cycle or pose, fall, pull. So I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I'm developing the skill to just do the motion, the action of pulling. But I have to remember, I'm always pulling to pose so that we can fall. So that's the most important part of what we get out of this, is that the pull is last. So if you're hurting, if your calves hurt, you're having a hard time with cadence, this is simply related to you're trying to pull to move. See if I have any questions. Oh, hey, Miriam. You're trying to pull to move your body rather than allowing gravity, which is free for all of us, to simply take you and you pull in response. So here's what I would love to finish with. It's a little bit of a pull in place and then let you feel what that feels like to start. Because the more you can feel what it should feel like, then every time you run, it should feel hopefully less painful and more about the free fall, which is nice because it's like a very freeing feeling. My pulls feel light. I'm excited to be out running. So in place, here we go. Barely break contact with the ground. How low can you leave it? We're just shifting weight. Up, 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 and do nothing. Hang out, relax, shoulders relaxed, hands up on my side. I simply need to allow, leading from center, the fall. The more you practice that or have the concept or awareness of it, even while you're running, say you're running and you're like, whew, I'm getting tired. This happens a lot. Look what's happening. My feet are behind me. My shoulders are in front. You see, I'm not traveling anymore. I'm tired. So then what do? Correct. Oh, and off you'll go, right? Correct this first. Usually that'll help with your feet. Now say it's the other way. Say you've got, that would be for, by the way, sore calves and hamstrings. It's usually because your shoulders come ahead of your hips. So you correct by bringing your hips back where they're supposed to be. The other, I hear a lot of my shins, hips, knees, lower back. So this is from, it's hard to do this in place, but this is from if your shoulders are behind and you're out running. You're like, oh, I'm tired. See now what's happening? Now I'm using my, my hip flexor, my quad, my ankle is in front of me, so I'm not using the hamstring anymore. And the job of the hip flexor is to help hold your upper body. So if you're asking the hip flexor to extend your leg, it can't hold you. So now your shoulders are here and you're like, whoo, my hips. So it really goes back to the whole thing of if I practice first the running pose itself and get stronger and balancing in my pose, strength and elasticity for the foot, 100%, and then just the skill, what I'm supposed to do. But this part, this falling part, is you having to connect with what it is. It's no movement, it's no action, it's nothing. It's simply a let go. Which, by the way, we all have challenges with, especially in the beginning. But the more you get into it, play with it, connect yourself to something, to make things feel like they do in the practice when you're out on the run. So I want to say thank you again for those of you that participated in the reboot. It's not too late. It stays up on the site. And again, if you would like to show me one of your drills or practices, put it in the comment. You've got to tag RunnerX Rebooter. I won't see it. And some of you actually did tag me like on your own personal accounts and your private. So it would just help me a lot. Just put it under there, comment and see. One of the fun things coming up is we are reopening the membership. So what's fun, if you want to get started with me, with you as a coach, it has a gait analysis, you've got training plans. It's a step-by-step process to get you to running pain-free. Whether you're injured, whether you're not injured, it's great for prevention. But you have to definitely be like, I'm ready for someone to really help me, and because that's what I love to do, and be open to the change that's going to come, whether you want to run. I mean, injury-free is number one. That's the best feeling in the world. But byproducts of running injury-free are going to be maybe running faster, maybe running a little longer, maybe wanting to do different events. So keep that in mind. But thank you so much for participating. But I am keeping up on the live, so keep your questions coming, and I will be happy to answer. Oh, great. Thank you so much. I love the feedback. And this is why I will not stop, because I feel like the more of you are out there running pain-free, it just makes the whole world of running so much more fun. So thank you guys again.